Yep, chilling. Chilling, chilling, chilling. Gotta sit up straight. Yeah, boy. Let's go. Oh, man. Ryan, do you already you remember the thing I talked to you about or I messaged about in chat this morning? Do you have any speculation what you want me to start working on for next week?
I'll have to look and see. I I read that, but like until my medication kicks in the mornings, like for this sinus stuff, it was
Yeah, it's good.
I was bored until like 11 or 12 my time today.
Yeah, I'm planting that seed because I am gonna ask when I'm done for you guys if you have ideas already or not, just so I can, start doing it. But it's really not a big deal. But lore, I'm good to go on my end. And he's not a Brachus anymore, dog. I know, but he ain't. Yeah, it was kind of a way to limit, um, because it's like it was a pinnacle grind. I think the way that they're changing it makes it so that you drop a pinnacle and then you can focus other things just like Saint, right? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I'm going through live stuff and I'm like, we this is things we talk about. you know, nice little sipperooski that. The Topo Chico? I have not. I'm not a big fan of Topo Chico in general. Um, like mineral water at all. I've tried like a seltzer here and there, and I'm like iffy on it. But like my roommates aren't big drinkers, and I always feel weird having like a drink alone. Like if I'm hanging with you guys and like we're gonna be gaming a lot, like yeah, I'll tequila pineapple or get one of those like something, because we're chilling. But like when it's just like me and my roomies hanging out, it's water. Like she might have maybe a glass of wine. I'll just hang out because I don't like wine. but I just like an hour in after any wine, I'll just have a headache. It yeah, I don't know what it is. I keep trying stuff, and I've like had the organic wines that don't have like the reds that don't have all the extra shit in it, and still like I'll have like a headache. Not as bad, but it's still there, and I'm like, I'd rather not have a headache. If I can choose not to be in pain, I will. Oh man, Ryan is full focus right now. Look at him. Look at him. The ADHD medicine kicked in. Sheesh. Oh man. Oh man, I have his address. I can start sending him pizzas. I don't even know what's around there. I'll have to look.
Nothing is around here.
I'll figure something out. I will make something happen, Ryan.
I promise you will. Nothing delivers here. Unless you
Mm.
DoorDash, which you can't do because you got a GPSs.
Mm. Sheesh.
All right. For whatever reason, I can't get my Stream Deck has signed out of Twitter, and I've signed back into Twitter, but it won't. I can't push the button and tweet. Yeah,
Yep,
I do
that's
have a
that's what
Windows
moved
update.
around all my stuff. I was like, why the heck is everything everywhere else?
Didn't mess with anything major
No, it
or
just like changed where all
automatically
my
upgrade you
shortcuts
to
and
Windows
stuff
11 or
are.
anything.
No, not yet.
Thank God.
Not yet. I am
It'll
scared, very
happen.
much
It'll
so.
happen one day.
Oof. Is is Moon Knight finally like the fully done? Okay. Okay, I'll start that after this then. Because I caught up on everything else and I rented on Amazon. I rented the Spideyman on Saturday. Great. So yeah.
I've
So
almost rented that on Amazon like 6 different nights, but
it's like
haven't.
$6, man. I'm like, yeah, I'll just do it. I just rented it, watched it. It was beautiful. I enjoyed it very much. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm caught up. The only things I have left are Moon Knight and Madness. So yeah, so I'm good. That's fine. I mean I enjoyed
I
Spider Man.
heard
I enjoyed it
I,
very much.
I heard there was a cameo in Doctor Strange that I would be interested in.
Don't say anything because I want to see if I can
No,
figure it
I'm
out when I
not.
watch it.
No, I'm not.
I'm not saying for spoilers. I want to say I
Jared,
want.
I'm trying to see if Jared, if that's actually accurate or not.
Hmm.
I put initials in our chat. He won't go to sleep for a while.
Yeah, I'm I got no clue.
He won't go to sleep for a while.
Dang it! Now that I have initials, I'll be able to figure it out once the character pops up.
No, well, yeah, probably, maybe.
I have no clue. I'm rolling through like my knowledge of comics, and I'm like, I don't know. Oh well. I'll try to make it leave my brain. My weekend is gonna be putting
Uh,
this table together and setting it up and the monitor and everything.
I'm gonna be jealous when you get that monitor in.
I'm gonna have to. I might have to drain this computer so I can move it because I'm scared if it has water in it.
Can't you just like slide it across or like lift it up and
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll have the desk set up and I'll move it like right here so that I can just like lift and place it and then
like
take the
pivot?
table out into the living room and then or move it to the front of the room and then move the computer again. Put the new
Right.
table where it's gonna go and then move the computer one more time. It'll be good. Here to there to there to there. Okay. Yeah, it'll be good. I did.
I was
I
in
think I
the
did.
car. I was in the car and couldn't because Tiffany and Lincoln were in there. But I listened to the one with Nikki Glazer, so I was like just behind Like, he must have put that episode out late today because I was scrolling all day trying to find something to listen to, and his wasn't out. I can't wait to hear Simmons tomorrow. Oh, I'm so excited. Boston got beaten. He was there in the arena. Oh, it's gonna be glorious. Tatum, Tatum second, and Marcus Smart choking and turning the ball over twice to Drew Holiday after. Oh, I can't wait.
Oof.
Tatum's a triple B, dude. I can't stand him. I think that he's can't play physical. I think he's a finesse player, and I think that's why he. But I don't know. I'm really struggling on my Booker Luca. I hate that they hate each other. It's torn me very much. Especially like 7 times in 2 weeks. I think Chris Paul's ruined Booker. Like, he's helped Booker more than he's ruined him, but I think Booker's going to be hated a lot because he's going to take the Chris Paul attitude stuff after Chris Paul leaves. You guys ready?
Yeah, baby.
Did you guys get any good bourbon in Columbus this week, Jared?
No.
None of that came down here. We had Buffalo Trace and Crown Peach. Yeah. Yep. We're past the point of return. You're gonna have to wait like a year for it to cool off. I've noticed a lot of my I've noticed a lot of my Raz groups have chilled. Like, they're not filling near as fast or near as many as they used to. If it's not Buffalo Trace stuff, it doesn't go at all. Yep. Like, at all. But most of that you could probably buy it now on those without much difficulty. Yeah. Yeah, some guy just started a new one for South Shore. Yeah, that would have been it. Yeah. All right. I'm going to click the button. We are live with episode 60 of the Gilded Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is Thursday, May the 12th, 2022, and I'm NotRyanFox playing my flu game episode, and I'm here with my fire team, Jared. and the chronicler himself, Chadocero.
I turned in all of mine last night, and I still haven't hit legend with Banshee.
And make sure if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget you can take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, and all other major podcast services. Make sure you subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, turn on notifications, click the bell, yada, yada, yada. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Send us punchy friend requests so we can play video games together. The Dirty F and Hippie brought the TWAB this week, but you'll hear more about that here soon. So for now, listen to the sweet intro music from our favorite Link, who you can find on Twitter at LinkOfTimeG.
He is Valis Forge.
Yeah, man, I think it's cool. At least they uh, have it to where the ornaments will work, and I assume that anything that you unlock via the transmog system will work towards that as well. So I'm sure we'll hear a bunch of people complaining that they have to use their synth weaves or whatever the equivalent of them are called now to unlock those, because you only get 10 a season for free. So I'm sure that's going to be an issue for some people. I can just use my crystal ball to see into the future and know that's going to be an issue.
I think just the Ryan's definitely correct on that one. But the focusing of the weapons is going to be something that's very much needed. I After the token turn in that I did yesterday, I got out of just under 4,000 tokens. Um, I got 4 finite impactors. And the only reason I counted those ones is because for like the first 2,000 tokens, I didn't see a single one. And I'm like, I feel like I'm not seeing all the weapons. And so I did a couple more and I'm like, oh, there it is. It's the hand cannon, that one. I haven't seen that yet. And then I got 3 in a row. And then I didn't see it again until the last couple hundred. And I'm like, geez, this is crazy. Like, this is horrible. I've seen like at least like 50-piece bonds just alone. And then a couple of other things. But like it's wild. It just I'm like, not that I wanted it in particular. Like, I wanted a good machine gun because I don't think I have a good solar machine gun just in general. But like, it's crazy. I'm like, if I get to choose, I'm gonna choose with my Gambit stuff. I pick particular ones because I'm like, I don't have a good roll of that yet. Let me keep on, pulling the lever and trying to get a good one out of there. Um, and it's great. I feel like I'm not wasting just time, hopeful that I can get something while I watch Ryan get his 5th one in a row. You know.
Jared's looking at me when he says that. I'm the vacation boy here. So I imagine, how long does it take to do those 4 bounties on one character? That takes at least 8 to 10 hours, it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. Typically, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully those overlap a little bit as far as like kills, like needing ability kills and things like that. Hopefully those overlap some.
Yeah, I want to see what it's like. If it's similar to what the current bounties are, then it's just replacing a thing that they didn't want or they wanted to change anyway, and it's like it's just the same thing. So I hope it's a different thing. I don't know how different it could be. I'm like trying to think of like the Crucible ones for Unbroken, and just all the other ones that don't involve the Glory playlist. And I'm like, you could probably do something like those in just Iron Banner. Um, but you know, we'll see. I'm gonna gild that title right off the rip. I'm gonna spend that first week in there because I love Rift. Rift was my favorite, and I'm not saying that because I miss it. I'm saying that because I enjoyed it very much. It was
I don't
just
know.
dumb. It was just a dumb playlist that was dumb, and I loved it. I love it because it's dumb. That's why.
Rift kind of seemed like the great value version of Griffball to me. So it was fun for a while, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if 10 to 15 or 20 hours a week of it's going to be real fun. But hopefully the new map suite for it. I mean, if they design like, if they get to where they have a couple maps in rotation, even just like 3 that are just a little different, uh, think about like Rocket League, there for a while it only had like 3 or 4 maps, like in the early days. If they can get to even if they just have 3 maps for Rift, which I know we only have 1 now, but if we get to the point where we have 3, it could be pretty fun to play, I would imagine. Especially since it's like a limited time event. You know what? Exodus Blue Rift? Yeah, that just sounds terrible, doesn't it? That's a pretty big difference, man. Yeah.
Oh boy. I'm halfway through, almost halfway through my second uh reset. So I'm just over 4, almost 4,500 to the 9,000, because you don't need to get a full reset on the second one just to get to the ornament. But still 15 wins away. and it's hurting. It's hurting real bad.
In case anybody was wondering, I haven't played Gambit in like 5 weeks, so I still need 26 Ws for the to get that gilded, and I just don't think I have it in me to do it. Horns broke my spirit and broke my soul. Maybe we'll touch base. Maybe we'll talk about it this episode. Maybe it'll be a future episode, but we need to do something about that weapon. And let's be honest, it's still a $24.99 or $19.99 seller for the 30th anniversary. People are buying that uh, just to go get that weapon. So I understand why it's strong. So we probably got 2 more seasons of it before it gets nerfed a little bit, if I had to guess. Probably, I don't know. Hopefully with Silver 3.0 it gets nerfed, or it's just going to be ridiculous, if I had to guess. That'll be nice because right now I've got a buddy that just came back into the game, so I'm trying to help him. He's like at the hard cap, like low pinnacle, like he's like in the 50s and his pinnacles, low 50s. So tried to do some stuff with them and play like master nightfalls and stuff, but at the same time trying to already have all my Vanguard. I got the weapon skin from the Vanguard, so I'm trying to get it in the other playlist, but I'm losing my streak every time they get on. Which I'd rather play with him than get a weapon skin. Don't get me wrong, but that'll be nice to help balance it out a bit.
Get your priorities straight, Ryan. You need those skins.
Yeah, I do not care. I do not care for that weapon this season in the slightest. Like there are so many things that outclass it that I have. They're gonna have to have something. Just it's getting to the point like power creep's coming back in on these weapons. Like we have years of weapons that we have that they're gonna have to really start phasing some of the stuff out that we have or doing something. Or like next expansion or something. Finisher. Finisher at 9. I wish it was 25 levels for $20. I'd
I'm
buy it.
I'm wondering I'm wondering if they're dropping it as like when you activate it, it just hits with a million XP. Um, because then that'll hit the artifact, or if it's just you start with this with the it just goes click and it just moves over to 11, like to you're on 10 already.
Oh, it'll
Because
give
a
you the
million
XP.
a free a million, yeah, because a million XP would be that's great.
I'm
Like,
buying it. I'm
yeah,
buying
that's
it. I'm
fine.
not gonna lie. Like that's an easy $10 for me. Like easy $10. Like I already got the silver in the bank, ready to buy it. Now I'll make sure I have the artifact first, and I'm gonna make sure that I do my 5 easy, like triple XP levels first, and then I'll buy it. But it's easy. That's a easy. Like I said, I wish it was 25 levels for $20. And then what that does is then I only have to get to essentially level 100 in order to be ready for GM Nightfalls, assuming I hit Pinnacle Cap. And that's much more like the thing I hate about this game is like grinding strikes. Like, there's like it's not fun. It's not fun. I've been doing it for years, like literal years at this point, and even stacking bounties and doing it, stacking bounties and like getting in a fire team and unloading all those on the first day. And what you finish the first day around like season pass 20 to 25 or something like that. Imagine if you could finish that first day at season pass 55. Like that would be sweet. Then you're halfway to GM ready. So I imagine it'll eventually, it's the whole slippery slope thing. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. But outside past past 25 levels for $20, I wouldn't feel. I don't think I would like them going higher than that. Listen, if we're doing this, let's add a new player pack or something to where uh, you pay $10 and you unlock every mod, or or you unlock a selection. You get to choose 10 mods for $4.99 of silver. You get to choose for every 50, or make it to where Bright Dust can unlock mods. You know what I mean? Like do something like Bright Dust would probably be better for the community because they would have something less to complain about. Because but like give Bright Dust, like what does it matter if somebody goes through and does 66 seasonal challenges and that allows them to purchase every mod? Like they deserve the mods at that point. What do you think? Do you guys think so? And I would be perfectly fine with that too. Or at least the mods like plus 10 discipline, plus 5 discipline, like at least the base mods. Maybe make like the seasonal specific mods, maybe, or make it to where you can buy them in a pack. Like every charged with light mod you can get for $4.99, or you can get it with, let's see, $4.99 is the equivalent of 500 silver. So, so 500 silver was the equivalent of like, what would that be? Like 1,000 bright dust, or like whatever that equivalent ends up being. I'm too sick to do math at the moment. I'm sorry. Jared can work it out. I think it's 8,000 equals 1,500 silver. I think is generally how the bright dust works
I
out.
think it's a 6 for like the armor. It's like 6,000 for a set versus 1,500 silver.
Okay, so
So by
so
4.
6,000 bright dust is what it is. Yeah. So whatever, yeah. So whatever that works out to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So make it to where you can buy like year, excuse me, like year 2 mods cost this much silver or this much bright dust. Year 3 mods cost this much silver or this much bright dust. And just open that up. Like there's no sense to lock that behind running to Ada.
Yeah, if they don't have that on a full rotation, like a perfect exact rotation, there needs to be an easier way to do that. And a silver or bright dust would be fine. It's like, here's all the Warmind cells. Here's all the charge with light. Here's all the wells. And it's like, that's the 3-pack. You get those 3 and you have all the mods and you're done. Except for obviously the raid ones, because the raid ones play the raid. You'll get them in like 5 secret chests and you're done. Like there's all the mods. Um, so that one's not hard. But waiting on Ada to have powerful friends or something like that, or whatever, there was a mod that was like 100+ days and it hadn't shown up yet. It's like I'm not waiting a third of a year to not see a mod and not be able to get it
Yeah.
any other way.
Yeah. There's a guy that we have that's in the military that missed like the Argent Ordinance or whatever, the one that explosive solar causes the
For the rockets.
yeah. And like he's been waiting on it since he's been like he missed it while he was deployed, and now that he's back, he's been waiting for like months, and it still hasn't came around. So let's turn the cameras on. This is going to be a breakout. Bungie, invite us to increase your monetary streams. We can make you more money. Just listen to us. Bring us out to Washington. We'll take a tour of your building. You buy us lunch, you fly us out, and we'll give you many ways you can increase your monetary value.
I was rooting for my boy Dad Owado, but he wasn't listed. So I was like, gosh darn it. Oh well.
It's a real shame. Hey, I just looked. I got the email at 9:34 p.m. So exactly 1 hour and 1 minute. ago, I got the email, so I guess I'm good. That's embarrassing. I uh, I played 2 days, one class, and deposited all 100 for the warlock. So I did light all the torches though. So I don't know. Do we have a section to where we talk about Guardian games? I didn't see it in the rundown, but are we ready? Like I'm not like butting into anything. I know I do that. I know I do that sometimes. So I'm sorry. So Guardian games. How much have you guys played? I played probably 8 to 10 hours, I would say, over the course of 2 nights.
Um, I basically have just been, and it's like the day for extra laurels or whatever. So I'm like, I'm gonna do some Crucible bounties, get those stacked up, and stuff like that. So I've just been kind of doing it in the background, just because I'm a Triumph Garden tool. Um, I need them. I need those boxes checked off, or I don't feel good about myself. Um, that's literally the only reason I'm doing it. If I didn't care, I wouldn't. I would literally only be doing my bounties and then going to bed. But like that little lizard brain in me is like, you need to check those boxes, and I'm like, I'm sorry, sir.
I'm sorry, brain. So sorry. I so I more or less my time used. So I have a friend that recently came back to the game, and he is in like the low 1560s. I kind of mentioned this earlier. And what we've been doing, basically, they were about, I think one of them was like 1562, the other was like 1565. So we've been playing Master Nightfalls. They weren't quite high enough for Grandmasters, but it was Fallen Saber, which I know is a pretty easy one to do, you know? So I was like, hey, let's get in here. I think that we did probably over the course of 2 evenings, we probably ran 12 to 15 Master Nightfalls. Got a lot of hotheads, none of which were adept, obviously, because those are tied behind the Grandmaster. A couple good rolls on those, but it was a lot of fun because it was like hard for them, but it was like manageably difficult. And they got to work on champions and teamwork, and they had a lot of fun. And in between, it took about a run and a quarter in order to complete that platinum Nightfall card. Uh, so every 2 trips, we were basically going to the tower for us to refresh our card, and we were depositing these platinum medals. Uh, so it was very easy to get the platinum score. I think it was like ended up being like 175K. I think so. It ended up being on the weekend for the competitive part, but it took a lot of medals to get that left side lit all the way up to platinum. So between that and then doing like the playlist earlier in the week, and I probably ran like 10 of just the regular playlist. It took a lot of medals, a lot of dunking to get that done. So I don't think I'm going to get that done this week because I've been sick the last 2 nights. We're recording tonight, so I'm not going to be on. My daughter has preschool graduation tomorrow, so I probably won't be on unless it's very late. My wife works this weekend, so like I don't know if and when I'm going to be on. We still need to do our challenge mode for the master version of the raid this weekend. So, I got a lot of stuff. I don't think I'm going to get the platinum done. So I'm kind of upset about that. I'm a lot upset about the top 10% medal, what it took in order to get top 10% for the platinum for the competitive. Uh, we, I think Chad was in there with me. We put up a pretty competitive score. I thought we were pretty quick getting through there. There was another guy in the clan who had put up a pretty high score, and we were like rolling through and being quick and getting a lot of medals and not dying. And which apparently was the wrong thing because we should have just been dying the whole time and just reviving each other. So I was very upset, and honestly, it kind of disgusted me what it was taking in order to get the top 10%. So I just kind of said, I'm not going to mess with it. I don't care. I was going to try to get that emblem for some reason, but no, I literally, I wouldn't, if I got it, I wouldn't even equip it because of what people had to do to get it. So to me, I could not care less about it at this moment.
Yours.
If only that gun was solar, man, solar or even stasis. Like it's a real mess. Like why they decided to make that gun a void, I'll never. It just doesn't make sense to me.
The rental.
Did you say all those horrible players that did that? Is that what you said?
Hoarders. Hoarders.
Okay.
I heard something
Okay.
else, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. They're also whores.
Hey.
My dog.
Bruh. I mean, I'm just excited I can bring my Midnight Coup, my Erentil, and my Hammerhead and just really have fun.
So
Uh,
it's definitely
and Blast Furnace.
Mountaintop, Recluse. Um, what was it? Redrix was a bit obnoxious there at one
Yeah.
point. And there was one other. Obviously the Erentil, but I mean main ingredient. Like, there's not enough fusion rifle players like to be for it to be like too overwhelming. So um, on PC, I don't ever see like Not Forgotten or Luna's Howl, but those were a pain back in like D2 year two. I guess it would have been like the Forsaken year when they were introduced. So, but I haven't seen those, and I don't see those ever on PC. If I did, I'd probably laugh that they were using them. So I don't know. Bunch of bums. Listen, I wish. I mean, our boy um, in the Massive Breakdowns podcast. What's his name, Jared? This is my sick brain. Merc. I'm sure he's came close to. I mean, he's hinted at it several times. What was it he said? Like 10% or something, or 20% was what? Yeah, that's what I say. I thought it was between 10 and 20. I thought I had heard that from that podcast before. That's not our data. That's Destiny Massive Breakdowns, an incredible podcast for like the Crucible, like the nittiest of grittiest stuff. So if you like us, you'll love them. They are absolutely an awesome podcast. So check them out if you haven't.
Start practicing with your mountaintops. Well, I was very hopeful that they wouldn't talk about anything in the TWAB about next season, and thankfully they didn't. So hoping that go extends into the next TWAB. But I want to speculate. Let's talk about what I think could go on either next season or the season after that. Um, and I believe that we're due for Rasputin to come back. Now whether that's him being already put into an exo body or us helping Anna do that, I think it's gonna be us helping at first. Um, and then maybe him being a vendor like he was in Worthy, that would be neat, just as an exo body, kind of like Banshee. Um, but if we pull it back, the only so in D1, all we really knew about him is that he liked Tchaikovsky and that he was a war mind. We had a little bit of lore about him, but not too much information there. In Destiny 2, in season 3 Warmind, we actually helped and met Anna Bray and helped her reactivate the Warmind core that was on Mars. So that's the first time we really got to talk to Rasputin and be actually in front of him face to face. And then after that, there wasn't anything for a long time. We got kind of like a hint back at it with a Siva nod because of Perfected Outbreak Perfected being released. But the Siva nod and Rasputin wasn't really hit together because we kind of connected them beforehand, but we didn't until season 10 during Season of the Worthy, where the lore actually showed that he was truly involved in everything 100%. Um, and in Season of the Worthy, we helped Anabray and Rasputin activate bunkers all over the place, the moon, Earth, so that we could send up satellites and make sure that we could protect in quotes the solar system. Obviously, Zavala, Ryan's favorite guy, wasn't a fan of that idea, and we were because Rasputin's the homie. He likes good music. Um, Now in Season of Arrivals, we already knew that his core is on Mars, so that's like his main data centers right there. And in Arrivals, we already knew that they're taking away Mars, so they had to give it some kind of lore reasoning. Um, so near the end of Arrivals, obviously they take away a couple of the destinations, and in the book Duress and Egress, there's these couple of entries where it actually talks about what happened with Anna and Rasputin and her ghost Jinju. So the first book is Frayed. She had tried everything, the Great Bray, a lineage that promised to save them. For all her genius and moxie, this was beyond her. Rasputin lay dying in a dozen empty screens splayed out around Anna's command station. She could visualize the bleeding code running through her fingers. Zavala's voice was in her ear as ambient haze relegated to the background of her mind like a distant gunfire. The image of the pyramid's distortion wave was still raw. This wasn't an attack, it was a command, a lazy dismissal of all their best laid plans. There were no explosions, no blaring sirens or sparks of dramatic electricity, nothing to combat or fix. Just a guardian, walled in silent black glass and disbelief. She had been so sure. Anna's eyes tracked Jinju as the ghost sped from console to console, attaching strings of light to each. They slowed her as she went, buried under some load. Anna, Jinju's voice strained under crushing distortion. I think I've got him. Most of him, but not for long. The words cut through distant gunfire. What? Anna asked. Her voice came softly at first, unsure, and then she processed. What? Jinju groaned and whispered in exasperated, Pillory, engram. It's not ready. Anna, now. He'll go insane. I can't. The light tethers attached to Jinju began to pop one by one. It's this or nothing. The prospect sent Anna tearing across the room. She belted a command into the air and a floor safe opened in response. Anna snatched the dodecahedron enclosure from the safe and braced it in front of Jinju. Jinju, do it. The ghost shell reformed to forge a direct structure before her core erupting with light and data. A stream of pure information beamed into the engram, filling it with spiraling wisps of light. Did you? As much as I could. Outside the window, bolts of atmospheric friction dragged flames through the sky as warsats plummeted from low-orbit defensive positions. As Anna's Bray watched the Guardian's Sparrow rocket across Hela's Basin for the last time, she saw a confidant who had believed in her when no one else would. That faith, Zavala had reminded her, was a bond with more power than all the Warmind weapons in the system. It was a promise to go on. She knew a thing or two about building something from the wreckage of their past. The building was nearly empty. She had sent as much tech to the tower as they could handle, an entire fleet's vessel worth, packed to bursting. She turned to the large glass window overlooking silent warsat cannons. There were no cabal. The death buried beneath Mars had quieted. Valkyrie subroutines that could be maintained remotely remained active, just in case. Jinju ran final checks on the jump ship. A dark pyramid loomed overhead. An experimental exo-chassis was secured on the ship's cargo hold, one foot in front of the other. Now that's where it left off before it wiped out Mars. Now we know that initial zap we saw in a cutscene, and that where Rasputin was getting ready to attack, he did, and then all of a sudden he just shut down after like a wave. It didn't look like an attack; it was just a wave that came out of the pyramid fleet. But we do know in a different timeline, the Dark Future timeline, with Elsie Bray, that they are successful in putting him in an exo body. In the books of the Dark Future, so Anna obviously runs to Elsie for help learning about stasis and trying to wield it, but after she gets spurned away from that, and Elsie tells her she's not going to teach her that, she finally pulls a drive from her bag and says, "We just need a little help." "You have him?" I ask in disbelief. "What's left of him?" "The Warmind. I guess he didn't vanish with Mars. There's power there, but it's still a foolish plan, although Anna seems hell-bent on learning stasis, and with Rasputin she'll do it. Once she puts her mind to something, there's no stopping her. I always thought the best way to protect her was to stay away from her. If I push her away now, can I really say I'm doing anything for her? Only trouble is he's stuck on this drive," she says knowingly. "He could use a new vessel." Anna smiles at me coyly. She knows exactly what to do and just how to bait me. I cast out a million second thoughts. I can't let my sister get herself killed. "Lead the way." Finally, we find it, the place where exos were born. Anna covers her nose as we're greeted with a rotten smell. The Drifter. "What do you think he was doing here? Most likely the same thing we are." It's depressing to see him like that. Anna works the console. Uploading now. Should be all done here. Grab that lever. I pull down and a latch opens, releasing radiolarian fluid into an empty pool nearby. I catch Anna staring at the spot where we found the drifter's body. So much of this death and destruction stems back to us, to our family. I know Clovis was responsible for a lot. He had a hand in bringing the darkness to this world. I found a journal the last time I was here. It's old and half the pages were torn out, but it had a lot of information. Outside the redacted memos and experiments, there were stories and recollections of our family. He did some good, Elsie. I was there, Anna. I saw all the things he did. He was delusional. We sit there for a while in silence. The pool begins to bubble. Anna jumps to her feet as a sleek metal hand emerges from the fluid. Slowly, the exo rises. Silky liquid drops from the tendrils that conjoin the parts. Eventually, it takes its first steps out of the pool. Red? Anna asks timidly. Its head turns, glowing eyes of scarlet meet ours, and it speaks Russian. Welcome back, old friend, Anna says. We're in business. So that's another timeline where they went back to the Brave facility and successfully were able to put him in an exo body. Now, this one's a little bit different because they didn't have a chassis. In our timeline, they took a chassis from Mars, and she currently has something. Now, the reason I feel like we're going back to an Anna and Rasputin storyline, whether it's next season, hopefully, or a season after that, I'm hopeful next season because I believe it could be tied to a dungeon. If they want to link it story-wise, they could easily make this infiltration of the Brave facility that they did in the dark timeline, where we go to put him into a body. Now we know at the end, once you're done with the evidence board, there is a final little thing that happens that you get, and it's a message from Anna Bray answering a question from the hidden. They find something called Nefele Stronghold, and they ask her about it because it's very much a Rasputin thing. And she responds. She responds that there is no information at all whatsoever, and it's so void of that info that only he could have deleted it himself. Now they get that information while they're passing through one of those little distortions, which actually pulls them back into the Golden Age. So that transmission that they receive about this stronghold is from the Golden Age. So that's the first hint that they're going back a little bit to the Anna Rasputin. And the next one is actually on the seasonal exotic Grand Overture. It's on the lore. So it's Anna Bray again, and she's talking to a scion. And she says, "So you're the new guy." Anna Bray cracks a half smile. "Can't be worse than the last scions that Red and I dealt with." She impatiently taps her heel on her workshop bench as the scion hurriedly checks linkages and nodes on the neural coupling device around her head. Words and images skip across Anna's mind like stones. "Remain calm. Even though you are defenseless, I do not possess a starship." A sound resembling laughter follows. "Funny." Anna chuckles impatiently. "Okay, I've been setting this up for months. Are you done with the safety checks?" Jinju flies by Anna and runs a scan over the engram. "Be nice." A digital timepiece drains toward 0 while the scion inundates her mind with questions. "My light. Splicer tech. Brain tubes. Yeah, I got it," Anna says. "Plug my brain into red already, and let's do this." Her voice quickens with excitement. The scion finishes linking cables to a splicer tech receptacle housing Rasputin's engram and gives Anna an awkward thumb pointing up. The scion forms an interlocking image in her mind. A tangle of wires. Slowly, her perspective sifts through them and stops at a radiant center. She hears the words, "Forgotten vestige, made remembered." "That's the plan, Stan," Anna exclaims. "Drop me in. I can already hear the Tchaikovsky." She stares down the ticking timer. 3, 2, 1. Anna blinks. She stands in a vast thicket of thorn and rot. A warmth radiates from deep within the thicket. Anna blinks. She presses through bramble as barbs draw blood. Her sense of self wavers. She finds her grip on a searing hot spike, shifting her senses red like an adrenal rush. Anna blinks. She kneels at the spike and rips it from the ground. A Valkyrie javelin is in her grasp. Anna blinks. The thorned vines around her recoil and wither in the heat. She feels something within the javelin, faint and weak, but alive. So already there's 2 pieces of lore, and especially this one's important since it's on the exotic. leading back to Rasputin. Now, changes from the past, or not the past, but the dark timeline. She had to go into the facility. He wasn't in an engram; he was in just a drive. So he's in an engram this time, which is much more data safe. We have an exo chassis. We also have a full cooperation with the Cabal, the Elixni, and ourselves. And we have access, full unfettered access to the Brave facility. So as far as I go, that's all of the evidence I have that, I mean, I'm hopeful because next season there's a dungeon that we will be going back into the Brave facility to do that. So I'm hopeful that next season is Rasputin and Bray related. Because we just need to explore that facility more. It's such a cool space, and we haven't done enough with it. So I mean, that's my guess. That's as far as my guess goes, and I hope that next week I can talk about what their guess is and give some solid evidence as to why they might be right, assuming we don't get the answer on the TWAB next week.
Right. So, Chad, quick question. We get 2 dungeons this year before the new expansion. That was part of like the season pass thing or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Or
they're
the
setting it up
deluxe
so
edition.
it's one season is the season expansion is raid, next season dungeon,
Yep.
next season
Raid.
old raid, and then dungeon. And they're
Okay.
starting that rotation for us.
All right. So let me, Jared, you go ahead and go because I don't want to like monopolize this little time here. So you go ahead and get your thoughts out, and then I'll come through with mine.
Okay. So Zivu
Okay.
and Eris. Gotcha.
So what I was wondering, as far as looking at this as like so we have this season and then we have 3 more seasons and then the expansion, correct? um so what I was looking at, so next season we have a dungeon. I feel like the Rasputin storyline fits really well into that because the like exactly what you mentioned, that dungeon, you are going through and you're putting Rasputin in a body, you're coming back. That makes a lot of sense. What I'm more thinking about is that next season we're gonna get a raid. So we've speculated on this, like seems like every 10 or 12 episodes it comes up. As a consensus, we're like 50-50 between Wrath and, depends on when you ask us if we think it's Wrath or if we think that it's King's Fall. So I'm wondering if we're gonna get if we're gonna get a little bit of Siva mixed in this season, or this year rather, not this season, but this year. Um, what I'm also thinking about is Leviathan. So Callus, they're kind of hitting at our boy Callus here, as far as like the what's the mission to get the explosive person, or the grenade launcher, dead messenger, Vox Obscura.
Yeah.
That mission, you get Kyla's dialogue, and we know they've kind of been slowly introducing some of this vaulted content back into the game. What if the season leading into the expansion? So let's first of all, it's not I don't think it's safe to assume that we're going to get the next expansion in February like we did this year. What if this expansion is pushed to May, or what if they need another 3 months to finish this expansion? That we're going to have another 5 or 6 month season at the end. Is there any chance we get something that is like they bring back Leviathan and maybe one or two of those raids, or both of the raid layers, but not the Leviathan raid, or the Leviathan raid and one of the raid layers, or something like that, and then we get that stuff back this season as well? Because to me it seems strange that they're going to introduce Leviathan. And then Chad's already kind of hinted at the lore, the Dark Timeline stuff already of Rasputin. So I think that's going to be 2 of the seasons. And then I think Siva, we've been getting Siva ornaments for 2 years. What are we going to do? And, think about all the stuff they've done with our Iron Lord here, Lord Saladin. So that kind of fits into that storyline. So I kind of think that's going to be the 3 main seasons. I don't know what order they're going to be in, but I think that we're going to get that what Chad mentioned with the Rasputin story. I think we're going to get an Iron Lord story that probably is like a Wrath of the Machine type thing that has Siva, and then I think that we're going to get the story that's going to be with Callus. So that's my expectations for these 3 seasons personally. But Chad, I did have a question rather. What is the plan with Lady Ephrodite? Like, what's her story? I don't know much about her. Maybe you want to touch on her next week. And the other thing would be with Aramis. Like, what's the plan with Aramis? Is she just going to be frozen for the rest of Destiny time? Or is she going to be wove back into the story?
I hope she comes back. She was angry enough that I want her to come back. She isn't done with her story yet.
And if we get her back, then we can expect Mithrax to have some story with that, most likely, right? Because it's fallen, related, and that type of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I also saw a pastebin leak yesterday that allegedly is fake, based upon my source that has given me nothing but true information. So like they have given me nothing but like they are 100% on what they've sent me. But they told me that was fake because I messaged them and I said, "Hey, I saw this," and they're like, "Hey, that pastebin from what I know is fake." Allegedly, that person says we're getting a map back from Destiny 1 that was very loved in season 17 or 18. But they said that map could have changed since they last heard. So who knows? But I think that takes us to the mailbag, right, Jared? Didn't miss anything? Question 1. How many Iron Banner tokens did you have to dismantle? So I'll answer first. I still have 2,700 to dismantle, but my issue is I have 499 out of 500 in my vault, and all my characters are built back up, so I need to ask the homies to come back in and start clearing vault space for me.
I already deleted all my red weapons because of what the changes that they're making to the materials needed. I'm like, I don't need to stockpile these anymore. I'm maxed out on neutral element, and all the other ones are going away. So I'm good as I am right now. So that cleared up a lot of space on one character, and I turned in all the tokens on that character. So I only had to like go to my postmaster maybe 6 or 7 times while I was doing it. I literally just kept turning things in until I saw one go to the postmaster, and then I walked away. But yeah, I had literally no weapons on that character at all whatsoever. And I'm like, this character also has the worst armor. So I was like, maybe I can get some, good armor, because like that armor drops 60 plus only, pretty much, from my experience anyway.
So
and I did get some
is
weird
the strategy
stuff.
is the strategy to get the armor on your main or get the armor on your second ult?
I have so much armor on my main that I can make any kind of loadout, but I want to make Jared's Invisibrew boy. So I went to my hunter
Right.
and I'm like
Yeah,
trying
you're
to get
probably
a
right.
bunch of mobility nonsense so I can go
That's
mobility
probably the
strength and do that.
that's probably the play. You're right.
And I did get one piece of armor that had like 22 mobility and 30 discipline, and then a bunch of little stats and everything else. And I'm like, holy moly, it's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, that's yeah. It was almost 4,000, and I got rid of them all last night. I just sat there.
Right. I mean, let's be honest. If you keep one item out of 1,000 turn-ins, which is 100 drops, if you keep one out of 100, that's pretty good, right? Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not a. All right. Question two. Do you think Bungie is making the game too casual? I don't know. That this is a hard question. Because in a way, I feel like there is less to do for me, the person that's at max level. That's not. Once I hit pinnacle cap, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Luckily, Guardian Games was this season, but there's really outside of like the weapon patterns, which let's be honest, like if it takes you a year to get your three explosive personalities or whatever, or your three thought or your five thoughtlesses or whatever, like it's not the end of the world. So I think that there is a lot of stuff for new players to do. But if you're people like us, once you run the raid, which is mid, in my opinion, once you run that raid, then you're kind of done out because the GMs we got done in two sittings or one sitting. Did we do it in one or two?
Two. Yeah, we did
Yeah.
it in
So
two.
I think we went 3 for 3 the first night and like 3 for 4, then or 3 for 5 the second night or something. So once you get those done, there's not much left to do. The pinnacle cap, you do, and once you hit that pinnacle cap, then you're kind of out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're definitely catering to getting to the casual stuff in the early game because they want more people to actually start. The end game is still very much like GMs have gotten easier. I can attribute part of that to being us just being better at GMs. A little bit of that. Um, Mind you, not amazing and perfect at GMs, just better. We're much better at running away when we think we're about to die than we used to be.
Right, right.
Um, and
Word.
I think that like master raids and other stuff is still like things that you need to be playing a lot for. It's the early game that has gotten super easy, which like as I'm in the pinnacle cap going into next season, I'm gonna be working on just pinnacles, and I'm fine with that. It gives me more time to do seasonal stuff and or other non-Destiny related things, which is totally fine.
All right. Question three. Bungie has ignored Crucible for a long time, and that is not debatable. Wow, they're really coming strong at us here. What would you try to do to save it, or what would make you more likely to play? Do you guys have any thoughts?
Halo style game modes. We need the weird stuff. I think just more. Part of it was Iron Banner was stale because it was just control the whole time. But I think we they kind of started doing it where they added like Scorch and their version of SWAT and some other stuff. But if they had just a more options, um, I'd appreciate that. It would make Crucible feel different. Like it wouldn't feel like I'm just grinding Control for a whole week and just playing Control because that gets so dull. I would like to do
Sheesh.
something else. At least we're getting Rift, and then we're getting with Zone Control, right? So it's like they're adding to that. But I think part of it that made it horrible is that they just haven't done a lot of balance on it, and they haven't added any maps, but they took away most of them. That's the part that I think the community really is mad about because they're like, you took everything away and you haven't done anything to make that right.
I think it would be really nice for them to open up more custom game features, and those could develop into some community playlists that people
Like
actually enjoy
Overwatch
playing.
style.
Yeah, a little bit. So like, I mean, simple as just like turn on a switch and you have unlimited special ammo. So then you could have shoddy snipes. Like how fun would that be? Like get up with the boys, like and like people in the clan. Just like you get 8, 10, however many people you
And
get, and
turn off primary ammo.
yeah, and it's literally only shoddy snipes. Like that sounds so
Yeah.
fun. I think they need to just give us a little more features in custom games, and that would give a lot of life to the game. Like as of now, at the end of the season, like yeah, we can do a raid here or there, but I think for like more people will come play and log in and play. It's like hey, clan night, we're doing custom games, and like we can really play custom games.
Friday night customs, baby. Yeah.
A
So you guys hit it. So, here's the real answer, but it's too late in the game's life cycle to do this. Is Forge or the equivalent of Forge, to where you have the community making the maps for you, and you feature these people in your TWAB every week. You have a map of the week.
Mm-hmm.
You pick somebody out, and then the last, let's say, 12 maps of the week are in a rotating playlist. And when one falls off, one gets added. One falls off, one gets added. Every week, you have that. It's going. You feature that. There's people that make a map that get in there. They get an emblem. What that's going to do, it's going to have people remaking all those Halo maps that you made, like the 120 that were, and out of those 120, like 40 were bangers, and then 40 more on top of that were really good. Like all those are going to be remade, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to have any resources going to that whatsoever, because the community is going to do it for you. But now it's going to take a year and a half to implement that, and then we only have a year and a half left of the game. That's been announced so far. So we're too far gone for that. So that was the answer back in 2019 or whatever. So now what they have to do, which you guys nailed on the head, they have to make custom games more like Halo. The person that is making the custom games needs to have more controls over weapon types. Like in the kinetic slot, you can only have a sniper. In the secondary slot, you can only have a shotgun. Or make it to where you can have one of two things. Just fully make that to where it's wide open. You need to make it to where you can have things like what was it called, like alpha zombie or whatever, like the
zombies,
first,
baby.
yeah, but like the one to where like the first person that was randomly selected as zombie is like faster, has more shields, like that kind of thing, right?
Invisible.
You need to have that just full on, like whatever Bungie has control of, like let the players have control of. Make it to where they can, if we want to, we can go in and make King of the Hill. Why isn't King of the Hill a game mode? Why isn't Oddball a game mode? Why are all these things that Bungie made 20 years ago, why aren't they in the game? Like,
Yeah.
or like a ripoff of their own stuff. Don't make it a skull that you're holding. Make it like something else. You know what I mean? Like there's yeah. Hold the legend. Hold the exotic engram to earn points. You know what I mean? Like why don't we have these things in there? They, in my opinion, they should also make like right now we got our boy Shaxi, doing the announcing, Shaxi needs to be more involved. Like, I mean, right now, like if you go on like a 10 kill streak, he starts going wild, but let's make him louder. Let's increase his volume. Let's increase his voice lines. Let's increase the things that he says. So, in my opinion, things like that, and make it to where you can just open it up or just be like, hey, you guys do this. This is custom games. You're not in our ranked playlist, which that would be another thing that I would recommend. Like, you know, that playlist, that the rank system that you made in 2001 or I guess 2004, whenever you released Halo 2. Like, if you just brought that just in the 2004, the vanilla version, yeah, that would be something. You know, so out of ranked mode, open up custom games, and we deserve a map a season. I'll say it. We should get 4 maps with the expansion and a map a season. That's going to give you 7 maps a year. Or give us 3 and 3. I mean, guys, we're paying like everything that we pay for just goes to PvE. I mean, there's a whole other half of the game.
I'm
like,
fine with even just reuse PvE areas.
Yeah, which they said that like the new Rift map is going to be in Savathun's Throne World, right? They said it would be an area. Yeah, which is fine, you know. But we got to do something. That group's been ignored for years at this point, so we got to do something. Yeah. Next question. This is from my boy Aaron. Just came back to playing. Haven't played since Forsaken. What all do I need to buy, and what should my primary focus be?
The mods, we talked about this earlier. The mods are so important in game. So like, if you have the time, like log in every day. It might just take you 5 minutes. Go to Banshee and go to Ada. Whatever mods they have available you don't have, buy. So of course those mods you need currency. So whatever you have to do to get that currency, like do that. And then if you're on playing with people, like Nightfalls are really good to get you exotics. Nightfall weapons usually really good. I think next week Palindrome's dropping again. If that is dropping, maybe that's something I would prioritize next week because it's going away. You won't be able to get it again. It's probably the best hand cannon in the game. So hand cannons will always be meta in Destiny 2. So focus on hand cannons and then get your exotics.
Oh, I think Jared hit it right on the head. Mods, they let you play around with actually building a loadout, because if you don't have the mods, you're just shooting guns, which is totally fine. But for end game stuff, you need the mods in order to really get into the nitty gritty. Now, whether if you don't have time, you can use Today in Destiny, and that'll give you the information on what all the vendors have. Destiny Item Manager also does that as well. So if you're away and if you don't have time that night, if you want to plan your day accordingly while you're at work, be like, okay, today in Destiny, do I need to hit these vendors? No, cool, move on. Get in, get your couple strikes, whatever you need to do for that day, and move out. But if you're starting out, mods most important, by far, easily, like more than specific exotics, I'd say, 100%.
So my advice, if you are playing on Xbox or PC, there's a cool little site called CD Keys. You can get on and get cheap keys of the expansions. I just recommended this to my buddy, and I think he could have got Beyond Light, Forsaken, and Shadowkeep for something like $24. What that does, it opens up all the exotics that Xur sells, and all the exotics that can drop from doing all the things that you do normally. Because he was chasing the what's that Titan exotic? Is it Heart of Inmost Light, the chess piece?
The current one, yeah.
Yeah. So he was chasing that for this void build that he had read about and seen on the YouTubes, and he didn't know it. And then Zur finally sold it, and he went to buy it, but he didn't have the whatever expansion that came out in. So he had to buy that expansion. So he bought all those expansions separately, which on Steam, he paid way more than he would have had to, because he bought Shadowkeep initially to help to go through the campaign, and then he bought Beyond Light because he wanted Stasis, and then he bought everything separate basically. So he paid like 300% more than he would have had to pay, which for him wasn't a huge deal, luckily, but for some people it is a huge deal. So check those out. Try to get all those expansions figured out, and always go see Zur and get any exotic that you don't have.
Yep. All right. Last question here. You boys have been checking out the Steam Deck. If Bungie allows Destiny or Matter to be played, it's a no-brainer, right? Yes. So like I've seen some posts about people are able to play Destiny on the Steam Deck if you have to install Windows, I think, and go through that way. So the typical Steam Deck is built with Linux, I believe. So and that is not supported by BattleEye. So that is the issue there. So you can get your account banned if you bypass that and try to play Destiny on the Steam Deck and not use Windows and bypass BattleEye. So watch that. I have looked into it, and then like they're not really sitting on the shelves, kind of on back order. Usually, I've seen some issues of the joysticks like wearing out very quickly, and you can't really replace those very easily right now. So maybe the Steam Deck 2 or the 1.1 or whatever they decide to do for the next model might be the better play.
I try to keep all of my real games that I want to sit down and grind to a sit down position in my house in a comfortable place.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that is portable is usually Nintendo based for me. So a Steam Deck is not in my line of sights at the moment. I like my setup where I'm at, and I enjoy playing my Destinies on my computer. It is a really cool device. If these guys both get it, they might be able to peer pressure me into it, but otherwise I don't really have that in my sights personally.
Jared, have you already talked?
Yeah. I already talked. Basically, I heard some reports that the joysticks kind of went back kind of quick. So
I did the $5 pre-order on the big dog.
Mm.
I figure worst case scenario about $5. I don't have to pay the full money until it's ready to ship. I have like 2 days from the time they email me. It says Q3. I expect it to be more like Q1 next year as opposed to Q3 this year. It might be a Christmas present to myself. I might decide I don't want it at that point, but it looks pretty sweet, man. I don't know. I just, especially like, I spend a lot of time at like a dance studio for my daughter in the evenings. So it would be something that I could use to do that. They've got like full Switch emulation on it at this point to where you can play like all the Pokemon games and all those games on there, plus all of the other games as well, like the retro games. So there is a lot of stuff on there to be able to do. So I'll probably pick one up, but I don't have one coming in the next 9 months anyway, if I had to guess. So I'll let you know. But I think that was the last mailbag question. So don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Watch us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Click the bell, turn on notifications, yada, yada, yada. Spotify, iTunes. Leave 5-star reviews. If you leave us a good review, we'll read it on the podcast. Go ahead and give us a roast because that would be funny. And I would enjoy that very much. I'm going to let these two guys sign off.
So, everybody loves Windows updates, especially when it changes your mic settings. And so OBS changed my mic settings. So I was muted for the first hour on the YouTube upload, but I'm good on the podcast upload. So I take that as an overall win.
I definitely feel your pain there. It is fully relatable. Double check your settings because it's the thing that's happening this week. I had to double check my stuff when I started on my computer today. So make sure you're good too.
Go Cats. Love you guys.